What's up, everyone? DKRACK here. Hey, what's up, guys? So I changed my layout to the color green because I had a few people saying I should make the background green for Christmas. I guess the color green and Christmas trees and stuff go together, so gonna leave it green for a little bit for Christmas, but gonna check out a new Mr. Nightmare video. It says 3 scary, real Christmas horror stories, again by Mr. Nightmare. Like always, guys, I'll have a link to the original video down below. Let's go ahead and check it out. By Charlie. Alrighty.
It was Christmas Eve night. We always hosted Christmas Eve at our house when I was a kid. My grandparents, uncles, and my cousins would always come. This year I must have been like 12. My mom was making duck, as she always did on Christmas Eve. I was helping her cook and prepare.
I've never heard of someone eating duck. I mean, I know people eat it around the world, but I don't know anyone who's had duck for Christmas.
This year because my dad actually had a really bad cold and was trying to not touch anything or stay too close to anyone. Our family slowly started showing up one by one. My Uncle Joe first, with my cousins Chris and Valerie. They were the closest in age to me, so I've always been closest with them out of all my cousins. As soon as they got there, I got distracted from helping out my mom, because Chris brought over a video game for my PlayStation that I'd been wanting to play, Driver 2. We ran upstairs to my room to put the disc in and play, and Valerie came just to watch. But within a few minutes, my mom called my name up the stairs angrily, ruining the fun. I was hoping she'd just let me play, but she was already stressed from the amount of work that cooking and preparing for a big family is. So we had to resume playing the game later. We left it on pause, and all 3 of us went back downstairs. Most family had arrived already. I was juggling saying hi to everybody while helping set up the table and stuff. Within half an hour, the whole family was there, and dinner was almost ready. The table was already set, and half the family was already at the
Christmas.
dinner table, including myself. Then I remember my mom yelling, "Ah, shit." She yelled for me to run to the basement to grab the stuffing, which she forgot to make. Our house didn't have an actual pantry
Mom's
closet,
gonna be
so
mad.
my mom used the backside of the bar in the basement
She
as a
forgot
pantry.
the stuffing.
I went down to the basement to fetch the stuffing. I was behind the bar looking for the damn stuff, when I noticed a blanket covering something in the corner next to the 2 sofas. At first glance, I assumed it was a person, one of my cousins hiding, trying to scare me. As I walked a little closer, I could confirm it was a person based on the shape of what was underneath the blanket.
What?
I could see the person's head. I stood there waiting to see if they'd react to my not making noise. I was wondering how he or she would know when to jump out to scare me if they couldn't see me under that blanket.
That's
Suddenly,
weird.
the lights to the basement turned off, and I heard the basement door slam shut.
Oh, hell no. What?
I yelled "screw you" to whoever it was, Valerie or Chris. I knew it was one of them, not my older cousins. I was going to scare whoever was under the blanket. I had a feeling the 2 of them were trying to mess with me, but now the joke was on them. I was going to scare whoever was under that blanket. I tiptoed on the carpet to the corner of the room and yanked the blanket off whoever it was and started screaming to scare them. But instead of hearing one of my cousin's childish screams, I heard nothing. Then a very strong grip grabbed me. Whoever it was went for my neck as soon as they felt where it was in the dark. For a few seconds I thought it was Chris roughhousing me, and I was screaming at him to stop, but this felt like the grip of a grown man. I started to scream for my life with whatever air was able to escape my lungs. The door to the basement opened and the light turned on, revealing an old, dirty, disheveled-looking man.
What the hell?
He let me go and ran to the basement door which led to the backyard, not the basement door that led to the upstairs. Half my family came
Wait, so the basement door to outside must have been unlocked? Oh, hell no.
Down. I was crying and screaming he went that way, pointing at the open backyard basement door. 2 of my uncles ran outside to try to find him, while my mom and aunts came to my side to try to comfort me as I was crying. I was literally shook. My whole body was shaking and I felt ill. My mother called the police to report this.
That's so freaking scary.
My uncle roamed the streets for like 20 minutes looking from house to house for the man.
Couldn't find the
guy. It made no sense because it didn't look like he would have been able to make it too far, which makes me think he was hiding somewhere in the backyard or a neighbor's yard. The officer said it sounded like some homeless squatter hiding from the cold, and that they'd gotten a number of these calls that month. That didn't make things sound any better, after that allegedly homeless man had his hand around my neck. My cousins were trying to pull a prank on me, hence why they turned the light off and shut the door originally. But this was obviously not part of their plan. So my family learned
What the heck was the homeless guy trying to do, though? Putting his hand around his neck, trying to choke him? Sounds like he wasn't doing anything good.
a valuable lesson at my horrifying expense. Always keep every single entrance to your house locked at all times.
Yep. Next story is by Cody Blaze. Unfortunately, nowadays, I always make sure my front door is locked, my back door, my garage door is locked. Nowadays, you just never know. You got to keep your doors locked in your house.
It was Christmas Eve night. I was a little kid. My dad was briefly dating this woman named Sydney. My mom died when I was really young, so for most of my childhood, I didn't know what it was like having a motherly figure in the house.
Oh, that's sad.
When my dad started seeing Sydney, she would spend the weekends at our house once in a while, and my siblings and I liked that. Sydney always seemed like a decent woman, but I was a little kid, and I was perhaps biased because I just liked having a woman in the house. It was Christmas Eve. Sydney was spending the weekend with us for Christmas. I don't think she had much family herself. We watched the movie Elf as a family, my brother, sister, dad, and Sydney. After the movie ended, my dad and Sydney went to bed. I stayed up with my brother a little later to watch the Polar Express. Around the time the movie ended, Sydney came downstairs to tell us that it's maybe time to go to sleep. I was young, but I was old enough to be suspicious about Santa Claus by now, and I had a feeling it was always my dad putting the gifts under the tree. I went to my room to play video games for a few hours. I snuck out of my room around 12 o'clock to see if the presents were under the tree yet. My bedroom was the only bedroom on the den level, so every other bedroom was upstairs. The living room and tree were on the first level, a half flight of stairs above my bedroom. I snuck out of my room and tiptoed up the stairs. I peered into the living room, which was lit up by the Christmas tree. There were presents under there, and there was Sydney under the tree. At first I thought she was placing the gifts there, and I thought I was right all along, that Santa wasn't real. But I quickly realized she wasn't placing the gifts there. She was shaking them, like trying to figure out what's inside of the boxes. She picked up one gift, which was in a gift bag, started digging through it, and pulled out something that looked like it was for my sister, like makeup. She analyzed it and put it back in the bag. I didn't know what she was doing, but I kept watching. I saw her walk to the kitchen and go to the ledge where my dad keeps his wallet. What I saw next, I couldn't believe. She went through my dad's wallet and took out a few bills and put it in the pocket of her pajama pants.
Yo!
I kept watching as she went into the cabinet above the ledge, the medicine cabinet. She took out what looked to be one of my dad's prescription medication bottles, and she started analyzing it. She opened it, sniffed it, and then looked to her left, right at me. It was as if she was about to do something very bad and was checking that the coast was clear first, and she saw me right away. Her eyes widened, and she put the bottle back in the cabinet. I hurried down the stairs back to my room and crawled into bed, with my little kid mind thinking I somehow could still pretend to be asleep. Seconds later, the door creaked open and then shut. I didn't look, but I didn't know if she entered the room or not. A few minutes passed, and I finally felt it was safe to check if she was gone. I looked up, and Sydney was standing right over my bed. I gasped and almost screamed.
Oh my gosh!
She looked down at me. All I could see was the silhouette of her figure, making the sight of her even creepier. She said she saw me watching her, and said in this angry whisper that she wasn't doing anything wrong. She just wanted to make sure my dad was taking his medication. I replied okay, and she said Merry Christmas and left the room.
Oh, that crazy bitch. She's
my
crazy.
Dad came into the living room angrily and said, "Who took $60 out of my wallet?"
Oh!
I looked at Sydney right away, who glanced back at me as if she knew that I knew. At that moment, I didn't tell my dad what I saw. But later that day, when my dad was still angry at my siblings and I, thinking one of us did it, I told him the truth of what I saw. My dad didn't believe me at first, but when I told him that she was
Oh my gosh, the dad didn't believe him? Oh, come on, Dad.
Going through his medication too, he started to believe me because why would I lie about that? Later that night, this created for a rather loud conversation between the two of them. But shockingly, my dad didn't ask Sydney to leave. She didn't admit to stealing his money.
Oh no, the dad's not asking Cindy to leave. Is Cindy gonna hurt Charlie now? Oh God. Wait, is this Charlie or Cody's story? I can't remember. Oh, this is Cody. Okay.
But when I told him that she was going, shockingly, my dad didn't ask Sydney to leave. She didn't admit to stealing his money.
First
and I think my dad simply
Cody
didn't know what to do. That night, I had my bedroom door locked.
Yeah, you
which my dad
better
always told
lock
us
it.
to never do. but I just felt safer with it locked that night. And thank God I did lock it, because around the same time as the night before, I heard the doorknob to my bedroom door jiggle a few times. It was undoubtedly her, which the next day I confirmed when I asked my dad if it was him, and he said no. After she left that night, I begged and pleaded my dad to not have her over anymore because she scared me, and it looked like she was going to do something to his medication. I'm grateful my dad listened to me because he stopped seeing Sydney shortly after that.
Thank God.
I wonder what she was actually going to do to his medication if she didn't notice me watching her.
She was going to take the medication, that's what. And she took $60 out of the wallet? Yeah. By Mike Newman. Excuse me.
Christmas night
Mike
of 2021. It was a Saturday night. I went up to Vermont to be with my family for the holiday and stay with them for the weekend. I was staying there from Saturday, Christmas Day, to Monday. For Christmas Eve, I went with my girlfriend to her family's gathering. For actual Christmas, I'd be with mine. She didn't come with me, though. Our Christmas gathering wasn't huge, since our family's so spread out over the East Coast. It was my parents, my older brother, his girlfriend, my aunt and uncle, and myself. The house is big enough to accommodate all of us. We all did our family tradition of watching a movie together after dinner with the fireplace going. This year we watched Bad Santa, one of my dad's favorite Christmas movies.
That's a funny movie.
After the movie, we had pumpkin pie and ice cream, and afterwards played cards. Around 11, everyone started to get situated wherever they were sleeping. My brother and his girlfriend took one of the 2 spare bedrooms, and my aunt and uncle took the second. There was a nice pull-out couch in the living room that I'd be sleeping on, which I did not mind. I liked being able to sleep by the fireplace and tree. It was very cozy. I had the TV on as I was nodding off. When I felt that I was about to fall asleep, I turned off the TV and Christmas tree lights. The fire was breathing its last breaths, and the room was just about pitch black. My memory faded into a dream actually about Christmas and my family. Only in my dream, we weren't at my parents' house. We were at my uncle's house.
That looks like the back
and
rooms.
More of my family members
Creepy
were there, like
yellow
my cousin
room.
Jackie and my aunt Melissa. It wasn't a very exciting or unusual dream. We were at the dinner table when suddenly all of my family members in my dream stopped talking, turned and looked at me, and my aunt Melissa said in a very serious voice, "There's someone in the house, wake up." I actually woke up after this.
What?
My heart was already racing for some reason.
He was warned in his dream?
Genuinely disturbed me. I sat up and looked around the dark room.
There's someone in the house.
Feeling uncomfortable.
Oh!
The super high ceiling of the living room made me feel even more exposed. I heard a creak in the floor where the kitchen and living room meets. I looked in that direction. The fire was completely out now. There was no light in the room. Yet I thought I could see a person standing right where the kitchen starts. I said, "Is someone there?" expecting one of my family members to answer back. They didn't. The silhouette-looking shadow in the doorway of the kitchen was still there, though. I sat up just a little more to look closer at the doorway. The silhouette then started moving. It was a person. "Who is that?" I said louder. Whoever it was went towards the back door, and I heard the back door close. I started screaming for my family to wake up. There was actually someone in the house? And everyone came out of their rooms.
No.
Everyone. So what I had just seen was none of my family members. So my dad, brother, uncle, and I threw on our shoes and coats and ran out into the cold, looking around. We found a set of footprints in the snow leading into the woods. Mind you, it was like 2 in the morning, and the neighboring houses aren't exactly on top of each other. So none of us were exactly eager to go into the woods following some unknown person's footsteps. We instead called the police, and while we waited for them, my brother and I stood in the backyard watching the woods. The creepy pitch black woods where someone was hiding, potentially looking back at us without our knowledge. Everyone else was inside looking to see if anything was stolen, and surprisingly, nothing of serious value was missing.
Nothing was...
Also, it's not like my parents had
nothing was
jewelry
gone?
or money just sitting out in the open on the first floor. The police officers who came followed the footprints into the woods as far as they could until the trail seemed to disappear or just became impossible to follow. They had not gotten any other calls regarding break-ins that night, at least not to that point. But the next day, nothing was on the news about any break-ins either. So it may have just been a one-off fluke thing where my parents' house happened to be the target of someone trying to steal valuables, like expensive Christmas presents potentially. I'll tell you one thing though. I had a rough time falling asleep that following night in that living room again.
I bet.
The image of that person in the doorway to the kitchen still haunts me.
That person probably went to more than one house. and that their house just happened to be along the trail of where this person was breaking into houses and trying to steal presents and valuables is probably my guess. Guys, 3 scary, real Christmas horror stories. Hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. Hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment down below. As always, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all next time, and Merry Christmas.